Sports Spotlight Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Marie, and we are getting closer to the Stanley Cup in the NHL. People are getting ready for the championships, they're getting ready for Olympics. But I don't know as much about that as our special guest today, who has been a former arena manager and his fun obsession with horror. Ryan Rostad is here with us today. We're really thankful that he has joined us. He is also a podcaster, which we're going to be talking about today as well. But Ryan, thank you so much for being on our show.
Well, thanks for having me. I truly appreciate having me on, and looking forward to speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. You got some really cool experience. I'm kind of interested to see how you got into the horror side a little bit because that's something that you're very passionate about. To kind of get us started, how did you get started in hockey? Like, what got you interested in that side of the world? And then you came to be a manager of a stadium. I'm sorry, arena. I keep saying stadium because I've been working with so many NFL professionals recently. But anyways, so the arena manager. How did that start? Did you wake up one day and you know what? I'm gonna be an arena manager one day. I'm gonna get into the NHL.
That's what every kid dreams of, right? Is, hey, I want to be a manager.
Yeah, they wake up. That's exactly the first thing.
Right? Yep. Career day is awesome. For as long as I can remember, I've always been hockey's been my go-to. It's my first love. I started playing when I was 3 years old, could barely skate. I was obsessed with it. My brother and I would play in the street, play in the garage. I think we probably broke a few windows that my parents aren't pleased about and dented some garage doors. But, always was fascinated with the sport and the speed and the agility and the viciousness of it. And I always wanted to obviously play in the NHL. I wanted to do that. Now, pro sports, everybody knows as you get older, the percentage of making it goes way down. And every kid has to realize that at some point. And I played some high school hockey, did some semi-pro inline hockey. I mean, they reimbursed us for gas some of the time. That's how we were paid. It wasn't really anything that was going to make any money, but had a good time with it. You realize that, okay, I'm probably not going to win a Stanley Cup or anything, and need to look at other avenues to the love of the sport, and obviously watching games and being around my team, obviously the Avalanche. They came into Denver where I live in 1995 and fell in love with them from the start, and they kind of pushed on my love of the game and got to see them win a couple championships, and I always thought, man, it'd be so cool to be a part of that. And as I got older and was starting to think about a career, I was studying sports industry operations at Metro State University that's right across from Ball Arena. And I was working at Ball Arena part-time just as a retail store associate. I'm a jersey nerd as well. So I love anything with the merch and the designing of it and kind of how it makes the fans feel. I always remember going to games as a kid and getting that foam finger and how it was maybe $2 at the time, but it meant the world to me. And, you get a stuffed animal, you get all that. So I loved being in that environment, especially it was perfect. I was part-time, I was in school, and then things just started coming together. The NBA actually had a lockout and there was an opener for a full-time management position within our department. And so I went for that, but then I had to make the tough decision of, do I stay with the sports industry operation side of it, or do I learn on the go in a management role? And chose that side and was there for 15 years. And there were some really lean years there with, if you're an Avs fan listening, there was a 48-point season where we had a lot of free time on our hands. And then in 22 and 23, I was fortunate enough to be able to work the Stanley Cup final and the NBA finals and get to experience that. And obviously it worked out well for our teams. We were able to celebrate quite a bit. And those summers were some of the best of my life. They were so much fun. It's a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. And the people over there are some of the best that I've ever met in my life. And I would never change a thing about it.
Yeah, I can only imagine. That's pretty impressive, Ryan. Not gonna lie. Walk us through, because most people aren't gonna understand this, right? They don't understand any type of management or any type of what the staff does to get an arena, to get the merch ready, things like that. So walk us through behind the scenes, the preparation, the night before a championship night, or even the Stanley Cup. What is that like when you're trying to merchandise things and get the whole ad set and everything out there ready to go for game day?
You're right. I mean, most people don't know, and it's probably a good thing because it is a lot of behind the scenes stuff. People always think about what happens to all this stuff. How does it get done? It's a ton of work to put on one game, let alone a full season of games, let alone a full season of multiple teams in one spot. You know, some arenas have one team, some arenas have multiple. Like the one I was at, had, we would go Abs Nuggets, and then throw in a lacrosse game here and there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, there's a ton of prep work. You got to be flexible. You got to be able to work holidays, work long shifts. We were fortunate enough to have a very dedicated staff. Any game night, it would be roughly 35 to 40 people that you'd be overseeing. They work day shifts as well to try and get the arena ready for that upcoming game. And obviously, I touched on it. The lean years, we had a lot of free time. We weren't really stressing all that much. We had a lot of time to get stuff done, but then the Avalanche and Nuggets ended up being good around the same time. And that presented different challenges. We had to learn a lot on the go and figure it out because, my team and I, we had been together for over a decade at the management side. So we all knew how each other worked, but we were all like, we would make the joke when the teams were bad. We're like, man, can you imagine if both teams made the playoffs? And then both teams make the playoffs. And it's like, man, can you imagine if both teams went far in the playoffs? Then they both went far. And it's like, well, can you imagine if we actually had to do a championship series? And, obviously we got to do that. Luckily, they happened in separate years because I don't know how we would have survived if both teams were in at the same time.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're 12 to 14-hour days, sometimes longer. You go in at 5 a.m., you leave at midnight after the game. You just try and prep as much beforehand as possible. And a thing a lot of people don't know about arenas is that space is a premium. So if you bring stuff in, you got to be able to store it, and you got to figure that out. They can't just make space appear. Like when you're going to a game, if there's a jersey launch or anything like that, the amount of prep work that goes into it, it's staggering really when you think about it. There's offsite warehouses that get involved. There's a ton of logistical nightmares you have to figure out. One that just pops in my head, the night that the Nuggets won the NBA title, before the game, we got all the championship merch set up. We got it separated. We sealed it because that's big. If a picture gets out, if anything, you don't want that out there. You don't want your name attached to it.
Yeah.
We got a call from New Era, who did the championship hats. And, obviously, if you watch sports, you know how big the championship hat is. Everybody wants it. We get a call and they say, I think we were only going to have like 200 and we were supposed to have like 4,000 show up that night. So they're like,
wow.
It's on a plane right now. It'll get there. But the NBA, security wise, they shut down pretty much all traffic in and out of the arena for the game. So there was no way that the hats could physically get to the arena. So basically got lost in the shuffle. They ended up showing up a couple days later, but so if you were at the arena that night and were able to grab one, good job. I think most of our staff grabbed them actually that night. So
Yeah, 200, that doesn't leave like anything for fans. That's like, here you guys go, staff.
Yeah, and trying to facilitate what spots get what, because we had 9 spots in the arena. So, you have to divvy up everything and have it ready to go. I can't say enough about the guys that work, not only in the arena that I worked in, but other arenas as well. The people that you don't see or that you have very limited interaction with, they work their butts off day in and day out. It is incredible to be around and to see.
Yeah, you know what? There is a huge amount of work that goes into behind the scenes that a lot of people don't even know about for all types of event venues. And especially when it comes down to any type of sport one. I mean, you brought up the perspective of space. Those things are humongous, right? But there's not always that space because you have to think about all the different food people that are there. What is something that surprised you the most when you took on that specific role that people wouldn't even understand, probably?
I think just the fact that there are so many different departments within running this operation, there's so many different heads figuring things out. And obviously, not everybody's visions align. For us, I mean, we're tunnel vision. We're like, hey, we want to maximize sales. We want to get everything out there that we can. So in my mind, I'm like, hey, we need the space because we're going to need all this champ merch. We're going to need our sales are up. We need this. But then conversion, they need this spot because they actually need to store stuff that's going to change the hockey rink to the basketball court, which is important.
Yeah,
So
that's very true.
The level of prioritizing gets a little tricky, and you have to have the right personality to get along with everybody in a good way,
Amigos.
which not everybody can do. And we, for the most part, had a really good relationship with the people that we work closely with. Engineering was a big one, because if something goes wrong in the arena, you just call up your friend in engineering. Like ours was a guy named Z. He's awesome. So Z, if you're listening, thanks. You
Maybe.
just call up Z and be like, hey, I need this. And he's like, I'm right on it. So if you're kind of rude to him, if you're not nice, probably not going to prioritize your project very well.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, that you can't overlook the little people because those people make things run, or quote unquote little
Mhm.
people, small. Everybody's got a very
No,
important
no, no.
job and they're all very talented and can, make the dream work. So don't step on
Mhm.
Z. Z will come back.
No, Z's the man.
Well, Ryan, you also do podcasting, which is completely
Mhm.
different. What decided, I mean, you did show business, so like now you're like, I'm gonna make my own show. Is that kind of how you got into this? Like what was the inspiration behind your podcast, which is horror? Okay. And for the audience's viewpoints, I'm not a horror fan, but Ryan might change my mind. So I know we've talked a little bit about this because his show is very interesting. So it is focused on making horror more like giving a touchable perspective to horror, which I appreciate because for me, horror is scary. So people love horror, right? And but Ryan, thanks so much for having that show, and you guys got started, and it's the Rostad Snow Horror Show. So
A roasted snow horror show. Yep.
tell us a little bit about how you got started with that guy.
So obviously, I said my first love was hockey and getting involved in that. My second love has always been movies, just in general. I've always been drawn to horror from a young age, which is odd to say because you're not supposed to watch scary things when you're in elementary school. But the way I got started with that was, I think I must have been like 7 or 8, and I was having a sleepover with a bunch of friends from my elementary school basketball team. And of course, boys will be boys. The parents go to bed, and my buddy Greg comes down and he goes, guys, my mom and dad just went to bed and they rented the VHS of Scream.
Oh,
I was like, what's that?
oh,
And
done now.
so I don't know if you've ever seen Scream, have you? Okay. Are you familiar with the first scene with Drew Barrymore? Oh,
No
it's
way.
all good.
Yeah,
So we put it into the VCR, which is an ancient term if you're
yeah.
younger listening. We put it in there and we start watching. And the first scene of this movie, if you don't know, it's just Drew Barrymore. She's in her house, she's home alone, and she gets a call from this weird voice.
Yeah.
It says, what's your favorite scary movie and this and that. And it's a very suspenseful lead up. And I'm 7 or 8, so I'm on the edge of my seat, like I'm shivering. I don't want to know what's coming next. And that scene set me up for the rest of my life, for better or worse. After that scene, and I'm not going to ruin it if you haven't seen the movie, I do recommend it. But after that scene was over, like me and my friends, we were shook. The rotary phone that was on the wall rang right after that scene was up, and we all
Lost it.
collectively, screamed. We settled it down and we watched the rest of the movie. And I just remember thinking, like, man, like that was an experience. Like I survived that. I didn't just watch something, I survived it. From there, I somehow talked my dad into letting me rent Scream 2. I don't know why he let me do it. It's one of my life's greatest mysteries. But so that
Parenting.
kind of set me up. Right. Yeah. Well, he hates horror movies too. So I don't think he truly knew what it was. But yeah, so then was able to fall in love with the characters in a sequel setting. And as I got older, I love that feeling of being scared. If something can make me think and make me lose sleep, I'm all for it. As dumb as that sounds, but yeah, so I went to film school for a bit, and I always kind of wanted to get into filmmaking. That was, outside of the Stanley Cup, that's what I wanted to do. I did a little script writing and I went to film school a bit. And you and I touched on it off air, but how I love editing. And I always kind of wanted to make a movie. Obviously, that's another really tough industry to get into. Life went a different way. And I always kind of had the idea of the podcast in the back of my mind, because if you go and see a movie with your friend, whether it's a horror movie or whether it's a comedy, you walk out of the movie and what's the first thing you say? It's, hey, what'd you think?
Mhm.
And you have this fun, lighthearted conversation. Sometimes it gets heated,
Yeah.
depending on how passionate you are about that film. So, and I'm fortunate enough to have my good buddy, and he's my co-host, Chris Snow. He has the same love of the same genre that I do, and that's actually how our friendship came to be. We had a mutual friend that introduced us, and we were acquaintances, and then one day we just started talking horror movies, and then our friendship really grew. And I had this idea of like, hey, what if we do this kind of weekly thing where we just sit and talk about it and we can format it how we want? And he's like, dude, I want to do this with you. And I couldn't do it without him. He brings so much insight and we keep each other in check pretty well. But yeah, the way we format it is we do 2 episodes a week. On Wednesdays, it's kind of anything and everything. We do a special theme and we talk about the films involved in that. We've done an extreme horror edition. Beware if you listen to that. We did one from the Saw franchises, like what Saw traps would we survive if we were realistically put in these, which led to a lot of really fun conversations. Half of these were like, nope, I'm dead. Nope, not even trying. I'm dead. We have a special theme. We're going to have a Christmas episode coming out and then stuff going into the new year. Every Friday, we pick a new release that comes out that has horror ties to it, theatrical release, so everybody has a chance to see it. We review it and we put it up against the previous week's winner. So it's kind of like a rolling matchup and a rolling winner each week to see. And some fun conversations come out of that. And our whole thing is, I don't care what movie you like, but I want to know why. And an experience that I use is that because you may like a movie that everybody else hates, or you may hate a movie that everybody else loves. Everybody is welcome with us. I just want to know why, to have that conversation and to see. It could be something you're going through in your life at the time and it helped distract you. It could just be something that you didn't see eye to eye with. One of the movies that I pick out as a reference to this is Halloween Resurrection. Spoiler alert, it's a horrible movie. It's an awful movie. It has Busta Rhymes in it, and I love Busta Rhymes, but he is not a good actor. And my brother and I, this was the first R-rated movie that he and I snuck into. So we have that experience with it. And I remember watching it at the time, like, this is so cool. Like, this is great. And obviously looking back on the movie now, I was like, man, what was I thinking? But I always look back on that movie fondly and say, hey, this is one that I enjoyed because of the memories I have attached to it. I can see that it's a horrible movie, but having said that, if I'm flipping through the channels and it's on, I will throw it on and watch it, no matter how bad it is.
Well, yeah, and I love that it's making it more humanized, right? It's bringing an emotional attachment to a situation and it's making it more than just like I like to watch this. When you create something that's an emotional attachment to something, it makes it more special. So I think that that's really cool that you guys do that, and it also helps people to process the horror side or film sides. What's their viewing to what they're thinking? What is it creating? What is it exciting in you? And you coming from an editor perspective as well, I think this is kind of fun food for you where you get to see people's thought processes on what they're seeing. And that always helps with the editing process to an extent. It helps with the writing process. It helps with the filmmaking process to see how your audience takes on what they're viewing and that whole storyline. Like, are they getting the key points that you really wanted? Stuff like that. So I feel like I just rambled on for a while on that one. Yeah, I think that's really super cool and very interesting. How can people help support or offer movies to watch that would be good for you guys? Like, how can people find you to support and work with you?
Well, we're the Roasted Snow Horror Show. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. We had a little battle with Apple, but we are on Apple
Oh,
now. That was our last big hurdle there. But yeah, we're on Apple, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean. We have a website that I will send you the link for. It's evading me right now because it's hosted through Podbean. So it's not like I host the site, but that kind of gives you links to everywhere that we are at. You can also email us at roastedsnowhorror@gmail.com. Send us anything. Send us movie suggestions. Send us what you thought of the show. If you think we're an idiot, let us know. We don't get our feelings too hurt, but we basically just want you to join the conversation, and this show, we want it to be involved for everybody, even you, Ashley, with you're not super into horror movies, but we don't feel like this genre is a one size fits all. We think sometimes it gets kind of a bad reputation because, I've been in rooms where they're like, hey, what's your favorite movie? And when I say Scream, they're like, ugh. Like,
yeah, they're
well,
like
let me tell you why.
something.
Yeah. And there's so many subgenres within horror. There's romantic horror, there's comedy horror, there's dark, there's gory, there is teen horror. There's really everything and we like to send people in that right direction and let them know what they're getting into with these movies so that they can check them out on their own. At the end of each episode, we throw in random suggestions. My co-host and I, we don't talk beforehand. We want it to be as organic as possible. It's about 95% unscripted.
I heard that and I thought you guys did really good. You have a very nice cohesive kind of chemistry on air, which is really great and something you want with a co-host, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes you get on there and co-host, and back to you. It's really weird awkwardness. I feel like you guys really vibe very well.
Well, and that helps because we have been friends for years and years now. We have these talks off air. We start talking about a movie and then an hour has passed and we're like, holy crap, where did that time go? And that's how we wanted to format the show. We want it to be a friendly place. And like you touched on, we try to keep it light. We throw in jokes. We don't know what we're going to say. And as an editor, I always like to go in and find fun sound bites because my superpower is having just this random knowledge of movie quotes that I can throw into any situation, whether it makes sense or not. So that's something that I have enjoyed about it. Gotten some good feedback on it. We try to put in some fun songs in there too. We actually have a segment for some episodes. It's called John's Jingles. My boss, when I was at the arena, he had been a director for the retail department for Kroenke Sports for, I think, 26 years. He's a friend, he's a mentor, but he likes scary movies, but he gets very scared on them. So back in the day, he sent me a text and he's like, hey, I'm going to watch The Conjuring. And I was like, oh, let me know what you think. And he texted me the entire movie, his thoughts. And it was he is the funniest guy I've ever met in my life. So when we were thinking about doing the podcast, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pick a really messed up movie that he's never seen and have him watch it and have him text me through it. And then I'll read the text on the show. And I'm in the grocery store reading these texts and I'm just laughing like crazy. I was like, well, reading them on the show is kind of boring. No one just wants to hear me read text messages. So, I played around with some AI music and put the text into lyrics. And so we make a song out of it.
Very smart. I love it.
They're catchy as hell. Might make an album of it. I don't know.
Did you guys come up with the theme song for your intro to the podcast too? Because that's pretty cool. It's kind of rad and jingly.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Again, I have no musical talent whatsoever. Chris is a musician, but it was, I call them our AI overlords, but I kind of thought of an idea there and it was like, okay, hey, this is the show. This is kind of the vibe I want. And I mean, that's the best one by far. There were about 500 that were awful. So no, and that one, it gets stuck in my head. So I really appreciate you saying that you enjoy it, and I use the AI stuff for evil too. Like if I beat one of my friends in fantasy football, I make an AI diss track against them and send it to them.
Oh, I bet that is hilarious.
Oh,
I
it's
love
so
that.
much.
Yeah. Very smart.
It's fun. We're just two guys talking. That's really it.
Well, I mean, but that's what people come to watch. Like you guys have a good way of connecting with your audience and making it real and bringing in all that side. Man, that's great. That's all golden right there. So no, it's not being stupid at all. I think it's very smart ideas. But yeah, I absolutely love everything that you have done with that show. I think it's pretty cool. I might watch a couple horror movies.
Well, I have to ask, what is the scariest movie you've ever seen?
I think I've seen parts of that. I think the scariest one, I mean, oh my gosh, it was the one, I don't even know if it was technically scary. The most recent one that I've seen would probably be that Star Bright. What is that one where it's like evil side of with Emily Blunt in it?
Brightburn?
And it's got Brightburn.
Yeah.
And that's terrible because that's like a long time ago. That was the most recent one I've seen.
But I mean, yeah, that one's interesting because it's the evil take on Superman. The Superman we know, at least he has a moral compass. If the Superman was the opposite, probably be pretty creepy.
It'd be a little weird, but yeah, I have friends that have produced ones, and one of my friends produced Herd that came out 2 years ago, I guess. Man, this is like pathetic that I don't know that many horror films, but you don't want to come to me for horror film ideas, guys. Just go to Ryan. Good thing. Go to Ryan. Yeah.
Right. I will tell you, there is one. It just got added to Netflix. It's one of my go-tos during the Christmas season. And I know this is airing after Christmas, but if you're still in the festive spirit, I definitely recommend it. I urge you to check out the movie. It's called Better Watch Out. Don't look at a trailer or anything. I promise you, it's not scary. It's more of a horror comedy. There's a lot of funny dialogue in it. Just kind of the way the story progresses is very funny. They make some Home Alone references in it. It's still a really good movie and suspenseful, and you're not really sure where it's going to go, but I'm fairly confident in saying it will not give you nightmares tonight if you watch it.
Okay. That's good. I like ones that have that more emotional kind of pull to it. I guess I watched The Invisible Man. I would say that's more suspense, but
Oh,
that was
I
I
love
like
that
that
one.
one. That one was really good because it resonated pretty deeply with me on some other levels, like more trauma levels.
That one, it hits on it very well, the trauma and kind of what, there's gaslighting aspects of it. I went into that one pretty blind as well. I knew the story of The Invisible Man and I
Yeah,
never saw the original. When somebody makes a remake, they usually aren't very good. That one was fantastic though. The acting in it is great, the emotional pull on it. Whether you have experienced trauma like that or not, I feel like it can affect you. And yeah, it's just so good. I love that you said that movie.
well, that's awesome that you knew that movie because I've said The Invisible Man to multiple people, like multiple people, and they're like, "What? What is that movie?" It's like, "How have you guys not seen that one?" But I'm glad that you have seen that one and you understand what I'm talking about because yeah, that was actually I like that one.
Well, and the premise on paper seems kind of ridiculous. Like,
Right.
okay, it's this guy that, he's supposed to be dead, but he's coming back as an
Maybe.
invisible person.
Yeah.
But the way they do it, it never feels ridiculous when you're watching it, and they never make it too campy to take away from the emotional impact of that movie. So, yeah, one of my recent favorites. Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. Well, cool, Ryan.
you're
I
right.
think like you're one of the first people I've ever talked to that they're like, "Oh, I know what that one is." That's awesome.
What's wrong with you? Watch The Invisible Man.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ryan, is there anything that you like to share with the audience before we end for the day? Any last words of wisdom, horror things to watch, any keys to people that want to get into being a arena manager or getting into merchandising, that kind of side of the industry?
Well, we'll start with the arena side. Yeah. If you want to work in pro sports, because I have a lot of, obviously I oversaw a lot of part-time employees that were in college or trying to find their way. And obviously a lot of them were passionate about the sports world. The advice I got from Vic Lombardi, and he's a pretty big radio personality here in Denver. He's done some national stuff as well, but awesome dude, great guy. He told me, and he's told other people too, that if you want to get into pro sports, you have to make the decision. Do you want to make money or do you want to have fun? And that it is so true. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
aspects where people are paid more than what they're worth, but in for the most part, if you're working in the pro sports industry, on the arena side, even there's team ops side, same thing. You have to be able to say, hey, okay, I want to make enough to support myself as long as I'm having fun. If you get in it to be a multimillionaire, you're going to be sadly disappointed. If you're passionate about it and you just love going to the arena every day and you love talking sports and you love just being around it, then it's for you. And, it can lead you to other things. I've been fortunate enough to have some friends that have gone to other teams and been able to trash talk them and figure it out. But yeah, it's not easy. And there are other avenues, like people on the concession side, same thing. I mean, they want to be in sports as well. They want to have that customer experience. You go to a place where most of the people root for the same team that you do, and it's
Yeah.
just a fun thing to be around. It is a lot of work, so don't just think it's all fun and games. It is a lot of hours. When I was young and single, and that was no problem. Heck,
Right.
I do whatever, and then you start to have a family, and priorities change a little bit. So you got to be willing to be flexible on that. Luckily, I have a very supportive family that understood when have to leave at 4 a.m. to go work a Stanley Cup game. They understood what that was all about. Just having that mindset, reaching out to people that are in the arena, in the business, to give you as much advice as possible. And don't give up. Whatever you do, don't give up if you truly want something. And that's kind of where I'm at with this pod. I mean, the podcast area is a very hard thing to break free from because there's so many great podcasts out there. But the one thing that I've noticed since starting this journey, and our first episode was on Halloween. That's how young we are at this. And then this next year in Halloween, we're planning on doing a live show in Denver while people are trick or treating. So we have this idea for that. But what I have learned about the podcast community is that podcasters that I've talked to have been so welcoming and so willing to help. And that's not necessarily something that I had previously thought would happen. I thought there might be some competitiveness there, but everyone I've talked to has just been so great. And there's so many great people I've met that I wouldn't have normally met doing this podcast. As far as our specific show goes, I urge you guys to check us out. If nothing else, than to just tell us how dumb we are on some things. I urge you, if you're not into scary movies, if you don't think it's your thing, hey, reach out to us too. We just gave Ashley one that I don't think is going to be too scary, but still have a good time with.
Um,
Yeah, there you go. Getting the holiday spirit there. And like you said, we want to keep it lighthearted. Find us. We're the Roasted Snow Horror Show. Reason we came up with that title. My last name is Rostad. Everybody has always mispronounced it as roasted. My co-host name is Chris Snow, roasted snow, and we counteract each other. Our logo is literally a fiery skeleton going up against a snowman in a boxing ring. So
Oh yeah, that's a quick question too. Where did that come from? Because I saw that, I was like, "Wait, there's a
well,
story behind this."
no, I mean, kind of like when I was a kid, I would watch WWE. And actually, in
Mhm.
one of our previous episodes, we talked about the John Cena retirement tour. It's just the format that we have on the show, and we have movies going head to head. Like our tagline is, "This is where fear and dread go head to head." So we're like, hey, I'll be the roasted skeleton, you'll be the snowman, and we'll kind of go at it because we do disagree on a lot of stuff. So that's where the logo came, and we wanted to get some film aspects in it. So we have the zombie crowd in there. For the Christmas episode, I have them dressed up in Santa stuff and have them saying a few things. So yeah, we just like to have fun with it. We're learning as we go, and
Love it.
don't be afraid to do that. We jumped into this feet first and able to talk to great people like you and helping us get the word out there. I can't appreciate your time enough on this and love the work that you do as well. I was listening to some of the previous interviews in the last week or so. I was like, man, hopefully I do a good job on this. These guys are awesome that are on here.
No, you guys are, I mean, like, I listened to your show and I was like, wow, you guys have had to have some prior air experience. I mean, that's just my limited experience with podcasting. We've done it for a couple years, but I have a couple of friends that have been in like actual on air personalities, and they're like, you need to do this, this, and this, and this different. Okay. So now I'm like rechecking everything that I'm doing, just trying to connect with the audience more, not be so stiff, have a better background, all this stuff, like that kind of a thing. But
I
you
think
guys,
you're doing great. I think you're doing awesome.
well, cool. Appreciate it. You guys have a cool show, so I'll take it. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Ryan, you've been a pleasure. I appreciate you so much for coming on. And guys, go support him at
It's the Roasted Snow Horror Show.
go follow him, go support, go email him, tell him some good options that they'd like you guys maybe to get on the show and talk
Yeah,
about it. Cool,
absolutely. Thanks for having me. I hope you guys have a great holiday season and watch some scary movies.
yeah, watch some scary movies and then go tell Ryan what you thought of it. And thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. Happy New Year. And hopefully it's going to be good for you guys. Take care. Talk to you soon. And we'll see you back in the studio next time.